Which brings us to our next speaker of the afternoon, Professor Architect Janaka Wijesundara. Professor Architect Janaka Wijesundara is a professor in the Department of Architecture at the University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. He's a founding director of the Master's Program in Urban Design and heads the UOM Urban Lab Center for Cities. An accomplished architect, urban planner, urban designer, and conservator. He is a fellow of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects and holds corporate memberships with the Sri Lanka Institute of Urban Designers, the Town Planners Institute of Sri Lanka, and the Canadian Institute of Planners. He also serves as the founding and current president of the Sri Lanka Institute of Urban Designers. He will be speaking to us today on the topic, the need for a polymathic approach, architect's role. Please welcome Professor Architect Janaka Wijesundara to the stage.
Very good afternoon to all of you. I think you are not very tired by now having three speakers, listening to three speakers. So my presentation, basically it's not, I'm not going to show much of my architectural works. Perhaps if I have a chance that I will try to show you some non-architectural works, but mostly to engage into a discussion on the topic of polymathic architecture, polymathic approach in architecture, particularly focusing on the South Asian region. I'm sure that since most of you are, even outsiders are here, non-architects as well, this polymath meaning, by now you must be very aware with that. If you look at these gentlemen, during the history, they became, they performed in so many different areas than what is supposed. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, he is an engineer, hydrological engineer, botanist, right? Painter, drawings, etc. Same like Albert Einstein and the Isaac Newton. So looking back, Asian region, South Asian region, interestingly I found that with these two gentlemen, one is the Kautilya, he is the ancient Indian advisor, mostly the Mauryan kings, 2nd century BC, 3rd century to 2nd century BC. He has written a very interesting book about the political science. It includes how you manage cities, people, social aspects, legal aspects, trade aspects, warfare. So it has included all required, most of the things required for any rulers or any administrators to follow. So Rabindranath Tagore, you know him. So how architect work as a polymath here? Now, I'm an architect, and most of, maybe some of you are architect and some of you are going to become architect. So what about our ancient times, those who built these structures, mega structures, cities, like if you look at Kandy city, Anuradhapura city and so on, weren't they having any sort of other than one subject knowledge, right? We know that, I'm sure that, you know, for history subject you might have learned who has designed and built Kandy city, most of the buildings as well as the city structure, where there was no such a city before, but with this concept, he created a place where the king became like a god, right? And the artificially made lake become a sort of, on top of that, the city was floating, or the buildings were floating. So a lot of concepts behind there. And during the later times, like Haussmann, the person who rebuilt the entire Paris, maybe you have heard about that. And in recent times, cities like Islamabad, Chandigarh. So they are not just architect, but also having with different other skills. So surely, for an architect to become polymathic architect, you should be able to, you should have a lot of other skills, right? So must be a designer who can understand aesthetic and beauty and functions very well. That's a core, right? And a technologist. So you should be able to deal with technological equipments, materials, construction aspects, right? And then social scientist. So at the end, like, we are building for people. So they should be understood with the psychology of people, behavior of the people, and also especially the cultural context. He should be a business leader. We know that in Colombo, many architects some time back, they became very successful in bringing new investments. Philosopher and environmental scientist. So with these multiple skills, architect can lead, not just as a design architect, but also a person who can guide the entire maybe context, country, community, society, right? So two of these such architects, Le Corbusier, who built Chandigarh, as well as he's a painter and so on, then architect Rabiul Hussain from Bangladesh. So why it is important is that we always come up with innovations, right? Each problem is to be tackled with a different solution. So innovation skill is an important thing. So should be able to look at things in a sustainable way, aesthetically as well as functionally working, and how you integrate with the modern technology or whatever the technology that is available. So we might need to look at new products coming in, right? New knowledge contributed to the engineering and various other fields. So future of polymathic leadership in architecture. Now we have to look at the polymathic leader who can contribute and collaborate across various disciplines and industries. So for example, architects who are working in healthcare facilities, they become like more aware of the patient's aspects and the treatment aspects, various scientific findings and so on, through the discussions that I have heard from many. So say data scientists to create very responsive cities, ecologists to work with harmony with nature. I think previous presentation there was some nice buildings which were very much harmonious with the nature and the society. So the thing is that we cannot work, or the most effective thing won't come through the isolated expertise, right? So I am the architect, I am only looking at this, it won't work. But it has to come from the fusion of knowledge, right? You have to mix your knowledge and skills with other disciplines, other people, other disciplines. So therefore, our future, say architect's future, mostly will belong to the people who are bold enough to learn widely, right? Think deeply and act creatively. So we are still learning, right? Without the eager to learn, you may not be able to become a polymathic. So when you look at the South Asian context, we are having a lot of very strong cultural backgrounds, say I think 9 countries or so, and also we know that cities are like, through the climatic differences, right, and the religious differences, language differences, cultural and social differences, and also the way that the cities are growing. Now if you look at World Bank records, this year seems to be the 6.4, the largest or the world fastest growing region, South Asia. And next 2-3 couple of years, it's going to be 6.2, again going up. So all these things will create certain issues we have to look at how as architect we can look into that kind of issues, those kind of issues. Say urbanization, is it something matter for us? Can we go there and do something? Say if you look at Delhi, right? Delhi is now uncontrollably expanding, and so much of issues you could see that. Just refer what is written there. Like it has many plans have been failed, right? But it shows that even there may be some expertise there or the professionals there, but still they have failed. Environmental degradation due to various unsustainable practices. So in Sri Lanka, we know that everywhere land fillings are happening without any rational format and so on. So that leads to the, the flooding and, various issues. That's one aspect. That now, yesterday I look at this data in Sri Lanka. If you look at 154, where is it in, I think, Damullo somewhere, which is the most highly affected due to the environmental air quality indicator things. So we should adapt to the tropical climate, because tropical climate is something that we got given by the God. But if you start, if you ever lived in Western countries, right, either European or Russian or American, you would find that how much nice here, right, in this our country, maybe in this region, some other, even like, if you go to northern part of the India, like they are also very cold, right? But this tropical climate is something, a gifted thing. So therefore we have to accept that, make sure that all what we do, that will be, tropical climate will be used. I think these examples show that various places, not in Sri Lanka, but how various components are added, how the ventilation and things like that. I think previous presentation also there's interesting things about those. Incorporating local building traditions. So our tradition is not something that we always to ignore, right? It's not something we are worried about. Like tradition, right? It's something we have to take it up, but not to be in the tradition. You can come out, right? But based on that. So here, for example, now last week, week before last, I was in Lahore, where I look at these 3 slides, 3 pictures that you showed the left side. This bridge is a crossing bridge, but behind that, by the side of that is another kind of academic school building, right? Which is very nicely done, using local materials and so on. On the third one in the bottom, right side, how do they incorporate certain calligraphy or the artistic features into the road projects, right? I'm sure that, engineer might have been advised for this, but probably an architect, urban designer, or somebody design field. So one top there is the new Hindu temple, but this is the way that we can accept this futuristic development, because we are not repeating the same thing. But here, for example, architect Sandeep, he has come up with this kind of proposal. But all these are in a village situation. So preserving the past as well as modernist history also one of the issues, particularly not maybe in Colombo, but in many parts of India, Bangladesh and so on. So there's a trend that now, say, maybe 50s building, 1950s, so they are going to demolish, there's a trend of demolition there. Disconnection between the cultural heritage and contemporary design. So these, for example, the left building, which is Hall of Nations, designed by Raj Raval, one of the brilliant architects, but still they are not accepted by the people. It was demolished sometime, I think, about some years back. And right side again, so Kuldip also has come up with this kind of proposal. These are most hated buildings by people. So why should we do like now? This is, for example, how it is demolished. Now this is again done by, I think Doshi. This was also, no, Charles Correa. This was also demolished, right? So, I mean, idea-wise, you see that it's very interesting, you know, the shapes are there and so on, but at the end, like, you have to see that what it matters to the people. Now, these two high-rise, one high-rise in the left side top and the right side top, these two buildings also are demolished, right? But can we imagine a situation like that in our country, even like for these countries, like this is in Uttar Pradesh in India? They are also not rich people to demolish such huge buildings. But as architects, when we design that, this extra knowledge that you gather would really matter for these taking decisions. Now, down there is that many buildings came up in Colombo. They are not good projects, right? I'm not going to talk about any architect's works or something, but these are what we see actually in the public media and community media and so on. Again, some of the past historical buildings recently demolished, right? This is in Soisa, in Slave Island, Soisa building. So this is what we get at the end. So can you agree on this, right? No, I think why? Like this was done by mostly professionals, right? I'm not saying architects, right? Our architects or maybe foreign architects, but whoever, where can we evaluate this, right? How much pressure we can bring here to get the correct things, what we need. We talk about the climate and tropical climate and all these things. Are they included here? At least a balcony. Can people live here? So, again, like Soisa building, and then there were discussions about that. I just put it here. So, why not we go for look at again the vernacular architecture, what we did before. For example, the land use planning, right? So this is with the tank-fed system, where to locate things and how use these kind of natural systems with water and green and community areas and so on, merging with each other. And the other buildings are like several old buildings in India and so on. And down here you can see in the middle, it's Wijesundara, right? All these wattle and daub houses. But we are not really doing the same thing, but these are new, right? Newly done. But with a different architectural explanation, right? You can do a wattle and daub house in a better way as well. Like, I mean, very neat and tidy way as well. So, in sustainable development, we have a role. Say, for example, who decide that all 100-story buildings should come here, right? So Sri Lanka is 21 million people, right? If you go just out of the road, it's all marshland and greenland and so on. Like there's no value of it, no use of it. For example, certain cities in Europe, Berlin, 6 stories, Amsterdam, 3 stories, Brussels, 6 stories. So these are fixed, right? These are embedded in their life. So nobody can change that, right? It is accepted by legally, by morally, by ethically, with all these things it is accepted. So therefore, we are going behind something else, like, you know, without any reason that it is a commercially driven, it is a developer driven, it is a investor driven environment that we are facing. A good example, see the middle, right? So it's also around 3-storied building, but with a lot of shapes and so on, still using some material, light ventilation, natural light ventilation. So architects as social and cultural custodians. Polymathic architect stands history, psychology and human behavior, right? We should be able to understand all these things in a technical way. I mean, it's not just listening, but you know, there are other ways that you can grab, you can get the information. Few things that I would like to share that dating back my learning times, 1980s, 83, 86. So how you understand the nature, right? You need to go there and look at, observe, sketch, draw. So these are some of the line diagrams that I did those days. But that is, and also how you reinterpret certain nature happenings, right? But not in the same way, right? But every artist, every creator will have your own methodology, own techniques, own language of doing things. I'm sure that you know some of these persons, our teachers. So when we had this 25th anniversary at the Department of Architecture, some of the students those days drew our teachers, but I got an opportunity to draw 4 of my teachers, Professor Niman Silva, Ashley DeVos, and Wijesundara, Christy Seran. So I'm happy about that to present and share with you. So then, I mean, you don't have to be in the architecture field itself, right? So you can go and look at outside. Say, I was starting to look at and writing and observing things and exchanging and communicating about cities, people living. So that adds you that continuous research, continuous studies would add you another courage. Now with all these things, I would like to show you very quickly, maybe time is not much now. One of the urban design projects that we did, right, some time back. So this is Sri Jayawardena University, University Front, right? So I call it shaping places into spaces into places. So idea there is University Township Development Project 2015. They got some funding for that. One of the things was to look at the university front. That's where the identity, character, space, activities and so on. So we came up with this proposal where I think the plan is clear. This pink color areas is the intervention area. The place before, and so this is a concept. So we want to come up with the biophilic urban design idea, right? And building of community bond is also an important aspect that we thought, because you can't isolately be there. Morato University, of course, you see that where I am, but we don't have much connections physically, even though students are staying all these private places, but not much connections. But you need to build a good community understanding. So place identity and sense of place, and also we want to create an active public interface, right? You can see the drawings here, only few drawings added here. So we push the boundary about 6 to 7 meters from the road, right, inside towards the university side, keeping more extra space outside. I think that was something that university agreed very anxiously. It was a very good thing. And that space is expanded and carved out to make various public activities happen. Students are sitting here, other people are coming here and selling stuff here, and bus stand also is there, ample seating where people can, student can gather, sit and walk very leisurely under the trees. We use existing trees plus additional trees, and also the private funding, PP partnership. It is also important that we wanted to get the outside, like many banks and private shops, to this project, and they also funded by themselves for their part, and we got built. And then we try to look at this with other 2 university examples, and then there was a student research was done, and then various student feedbacks were taken, and then we found that the students are very happy about this biophilic approach as a use as a culture specific strategy to develop the front. So this is the project that I wanted to share with you very quickly. So what is the future of South Asian architects or architects in the realm of polymathic architecture? So we move forward, and question is that are we building for sustainability for culture or people, or are we involved with something mere for our profit or our convenience, right? So we know only this, so therefore I do this. It is adequate is a thing as a professional, right? A responsible professional that you could guide the people. So therefore, for this answer is that this lies embracing a polymathic mindset, where architecture is not just about the buildings, but about solving complex social, environmental, and cultural challenges, right? I'm sure that, with the past works, you understand that what it means. So by integrating science, history, and technology and philosophy, you can create a future which is not just modern only, but also meaningful, sustainable, and deeply rooted to our community and context. So we should build for future. So thank you very much. This is my presentation.